Through your generosity, the annual Catholic Appeal continues to serve our community.
I'm Judy Williams. At New Direction, we offer peer counseling, educational support, free pregnancy tests, limited ultrasound, as well as baby clothes, diapers, formula, and more, all made possible by the annual Catholic Appeal.
The annual Catholic Appeal, assisting our neighbors here in Western Massachusetts. Visit diospringfield.org and make your donation today. Thank you for your support.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Julie Bollier, and I'll introduce you to Father Mark Mango, this year's recipient of the Hibernian Christian Charity Award.
Two inspiring conversion stories in South Hadley. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story.
And Steve Kiltonick tells us about a new book chronicling the local history of French Canadians. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel on this first weekend of April, Divine Mercy Weekend. We begin today's program with a story that must be told, according to a nationally known ordained deacon and retired broadcast journalist who spoke about the struggles faced by Christians in the Middle East. Deacon Greg Kandra was a recent speaker at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Parish in Westfield for the parish's Lenten lecture series. Peggy Weber was there and had the chance to speak with him.
It's all I can give to you.
The Lenten Lecture Series at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Parish in Westfield focused on a timely topic as Deacon Greg Kandra spoke to about 150 people gathered in the church recently. The former CBS News producer, Deacon Kandra, said he is trying to get the word out about the treatment of Christians in the Middle East.
My message is that this is one of the most important stories of our time, and people need to be aware of what is happening to Christians and other minorities in the Middle East, the persecution that they're facing, the struggles that they're enduring, the genocide that is really happening among Christians. People cannot forget what is happening.
Deacon Kandra works for the Catholic Near East Welfare Association, a papal agency for humanitarian and pastoral support in the region. He said that more than 130,000 Christians have been driven from their homes by ISIS.
They painted this emblem on the door of the homes of Christians as a mark of persecution. It is the Arabic letter N, or Nun, which stands for Nazarene, meaning a follower of the Nazarene Christ.
Deacon Kandra wears that symbol on his lapel as a sign of solidarity. Parishioner Michael Skian said he was impressed with Deacon Kandra's talk.
We see it in a newspaper, we hear it on the news, but to be able to be confronted with it from someone talking to you as if like we're talking now, it's chilling really, to know that people are risking their lives every day to just be faithful to the Lord and to their religion.
Deacon Kandra hopes everyone appreciates their freedom of worship and admires those who stand as Christians, despite all their hardships.
The faith of these people is extraordinary. After all that they've been through, all that they've suffered, they continue to believe very deeply that God is with them and God is going to look out for them.
For Reel to Reel, I'm Peggy Weber.
And for more information on Catholic Near East Welfare Association, you can find a link on our website at iobserve.org. And the Elms College, in conjunction with the Diocese of Springfield, will hold an interfaith dialogue on the Jubilee Year of Mercy on Sunday, April 10th from 2 to 4 p.m. To register, you can call the college at 413-265-2575. Noted Catholic priest and lecturer Father Warren Savage will be among the presenters. Again, that number is 413-265-2575. We have more information on our website at iobserve.org. Joining me now to talk more about another exciting April event is Sister of St. Joseph, Catherine Hamrock, who chairs the committee that's organizing this year's Diocesan Catholic Women's Conference, which is coming up in just a few weeks now. It's good to see you, Sister Kathy.
Sharon, it's my pleasure.
Now, Sister Kathy, you have such an exciting day planned for women to take part in on April 23rd. Can you tell us about some of the key events of this day?
Though the day officially begins with a welcome and a prayer at 9 a.m., women start arriving early around 8 a.m. If they haven't had breakfast, coffee and goodies will be there for them. They can also stop in at the adoration room for some quiet prayer. We are blessed to have two very seasoned women of faith as speakers, in Sister of Notre Dame Melanie Savoboda and in Kathy Coffey, the mother of four and grandmother of four. They are two nationally and internationally known writers and retreat leaders who will be sharing their wisdom with us in the morning and in the afternoon as well. There are also break times for lunch and visits to the gymnasium and the vendors there.
And I know that we all say we are so busy, but why is it important to take time out to attend this?
Sharon, I really do believe that as women, we are normally busy about taking care of others and often forget about taking care of ourselves. A day like this provides us a day out with other women who want to grow deeper in relationship with God. This annual diocesan gathering for women is an opportunity for us to take time for ourselves to do that, and to be in the company of women who feel the same need for God. There is a lot of learning in the day, but also a lot of enjoyment. What I love most about the day is hearing the sounds of happy women and seeing the joy on their faces and just being together as women of faith.
All right, Sister Kathy Hamrock, thanks so much.
And Sharon, thank you so much.
And again, if you would like to attend this year's Catholic Women's Conference, you can find all of the information on our website at iobserve.org. In other news now, as part of this Jubilee Year of Mercy and our diocesan-wide goal of evangelization, St. Teresa's Parish in South Hadley offered a unique event recently featuring two people. One grew up Protestant and married a Catholic. The other grew up Catholic but never really practiced his faith. Together they came back to the church. Carolee McGrath now has the story of a journey home.
And actually, both of them come from totally different paths, I should say.
It was a local spin-off of the popular EWTN show The Journey Home at St. Teresa of Lisieux Parish in South Hadley. Two parishioners, Sandy Murray and Stan Bohall, shared their conversion stories up on the altar on the mock television set as Deacon Tom Gaudreault asked questions of how they came back to the church. Sandy grew up Protestant. She actually became a Catholic more than 30 years ago when she married her husband, John.
Did it take a while?
It did. You know, it took about 5 years of thinking. I had always been a Protestant, and when I married a Catholic, and we raised our children Protestant. And then, you know, as they hit about high school age, we kind of just stopped going to church. Life got really busy, life got really stressful, and it just didn't seem as important. And as the years went by, I really started to feel empty, and I knew something was missing.
Sandy began searching on the internet.
I ended up on Catholic Answers, and I just realized one day, reading about the true presence in the Eucharist, as I read the answer, I thought, well, I believe that. And I kind of caught my breath a moment because I realized if I believe that, I'm a Catholic.
So Sandy went back to church 2 years ago, and her husband John, who was raised a Catholic but stopped going, followed her home. Now John is hoping to become a deacon.
On Ash Wednesday 2 years ago, I came through the doors of this church and got my ashes, and I went home and I said to my husband, I'm going to go back next Sunday. And he looked at me and said, I'll go with you. God had been working on him too.
The Conversion Story program was part of St. Teresa's Soup and Saints event, where parishioners eat a light lunch of soup and then listen to a speaker talk about a particular saint. But the Spiritual Life team, who organized the event, decided to switch the lineup.
We decided to do a takeoff on the journey home because it had come to our attention that we had two parishioners in our church who had really amazing conversion stories to tell.
I grew up in the Methodist tradition. My family was in the Methodist tradition, and I have always been on a journey.
Stan Bohall was a Baptist minister for more than 30 years. He and his wife raised their two sons in the Baptist church. In 2010, Bohall left and became an Episcopalian, although he said he was still searching. Bohall added that the writings of C.S. Lewis, including the Chronicles of Narnia, had a big influence on him.
The longing that prompted Lewis to become a Christian, I recognized in my life as well.
What about the Eucharist?
I love the Eucharist. That's part of what drew me into the church, and the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament is all part of that. It was a journey to go from the Baptist position of memorial to the position of transubstantiation, the real presence of Christ in the Blessed Sacrament. So over time, it became a natural experience for me.
Michelle Scanlon, who is on St. Teresa's Spiritual Life team, says both Murray and Bohal are inspiring witnesses.
I think we as Catholics who already are in the faith, we learn from people who have gone through their own journeys. I mean, our education as a Catholic doesn't stop just because we become a Catholic. It continues, and we find these stories very powerful.
Both Sandy and Stan hope that their story will inspire fallen away Catholics, other Christians, and even those who've never stepped foot in a church to listen to Jesus calling them.
To all those people who are searching, who are going to be watching this story, what can you say to them?
I would say go to the Mass, follow your heart. If you sense that the Lord is leading you into the Catholic Church, go with that and get to know some Catholic brothers and sisters and spend some time listening to the Lord's voice.
And both Sandy and Stan say they're so grateful that they did listen to God calling them. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And Carolee tells us that both Sandy and John are grateful for the experiences they had that led them to this path of conversion. Sandy officially came back to the church in 2014, and Stan made his confirmation last July. And still to come on Reel to Reel, a new book commemorates the history of local French Canadians. And a Springfield pastor is honored for his charity work and his Irish roots. These stories and more are still to come on this edition of Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy days and join us Sunday morning at 10. We welcome Father William Hamilton to celebrate our Divine Mercy Sunday liturgy. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News.
Through your generosity, the Annual Catholic Appeal continues to serve our community.
Hello, we are Catholic school students from Western Massachusetts. More than 3,500 students benefit from a Catholic education. The Annual Catholic Appeal provides tuition support to many families each year. Thank you for your support of Catholic education.
The Annual Catholic Appeal, assisting our neighbors here in Western Massachusetts. Visit diospringfield.org and make your donation today. Thank you for your support.
Three very different films to tell you about today. One will warm your heart. Number two will make you laugh right out loud. And number three will make you wish you had your money back. Let's look at this week's Real Culture.
Miracles from Heaven. What a wonderful movie. A movie filled with love and devotion and what a parent goes through to make sure their child is well. Jennifer Gardner has never been better as a mom trying to help her daughter through a rare, incurable disorder that leaves her unable to digest food. Then one day, a miracle from God. She falls out of a tree and is cured. Now the people question, was it a miracle? Was it God's hand to help her? This is a sweet, faith-filled movie. I loved it, but bring lots of Kleenex.
This is not acid reflux. She's not lactose intolerant. There's something wrong with our little girl.
Mrs. Beam, you need to calm down.
No, you calm down. You find me another doctor, you run some more tests. I'm not leaving this hospital until I know what's wrong with my daughter.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. Okay, let's be honest. We all loved My Big Fat Greek Wedding 15 years ago. It was filled with colorful characters, funny jokes, and of course, a big wedding. But now Tula and Ian have a daughter. She's 17 years old and going through the normal teenage mood swings. But moving right along, Tula's parents discover they're not really married. There was a mix-up somehow. So now there's going to be another big fat Greek wedding. I know it's corny, but it is a great date film,
filled with colorful jokes, funny characters, and of course, a big wedding. And who couldn't love a movie like that?
You all want to do this?
Of course we do!
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe everyone could pick a category. Food, glassware.
The wedding is on! Pick a category and report to me. I'm in charge.
Actually, Thea, you're not.
Yes, it's best.
No,
It's what everyone wants, dear.
Okay.
Okay, don't waste your time on the new Batman vs. Superman movie. The real winner of the film is the special effects. The cast is a little boring and a little lifeless, but the special effects are fantastic. So if you like a special effects film and don't mind a boring story, go. But don't expect very much. Go and have a mindless afternoon watching superheroes battle it out. And you can see my reviews, as well as read other movie reviews provided by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops online at iobserve.org. That's iobserve.org. And some great theater is happening right here in the Pioneer Valley. Check out Butler at the Majestic Theater. The great play Proof is coming by the Summers Village Players starting April 8th for 2 weekends. And Anything Goes is tap dancing its way at the Goodspeed Opera House starting in late April. And Real Culture will be there. I'm Mark Giza for Real Culture, wishing you a wonderful weekend.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Rulier.
Just before this past Christmas, the sounds of French fiddler Dan Boucher filled the Assumption Church Hall of Holy Name Parish in Chicopee. A crowd of more than 100 attended the festive event, celebrating the release of a new book chronicling the history of French Canadians in this region. This is part of a series being published by the Springfield Republican newspapers. Steve Kiltonic tells us more.
On December 13th, the French joie de vivre spirit was on display at the Assumption Church Hall in Chicopee. A large crowd was on hand to witness the release of a new book, Building a Better Life, the French-Canadian Experience in Western Massachusetts. The 160-page publication, which includes 200 photographs, documents the rich history of the French Canadians in the region. It's the latest installment from the Republican newspaper's Heritage series, which has featured other ethnic groups. The book is the first historical account of its kind, and a testament to the accomplishments and contributions of the hard-working French people in and around the Pioneer Valley. Included are select stories from well-known local writers like Jean Douillard, Gary Brown, Francis Gagnon, David Boillard, and Marie Preux-Meter, the director of the French Heritage Center, which hosted the event. Also signing autographs was Wayne Fanoff, one of the book's co-authors and for many years the executive editor of the Republican. The comprehensive book covers a wide range of topics, tracing the early roots of the French Canadians to New France, which was settled at the same time as New England. Fanoff traces his own genealogy to a 12-year-old French boy, Matthias Fanoff, who was captured by the English after a battle. Thousands of French Canadians journeyed to New England during the great waves of migration that took place in the 1870s and early 1900s.
Abject poverty in Canada is what brought them here. They went from being near royalty within a few generations to being itinerant farmers who couldn't read or write because the English took over and made them second and third class citizens. So when the mills opened up, the Canadians came down in droves and within the early 1900s there were 500,000 in Massachusetts.
Marie Preux-Meter's family came from small towns across Quebec to work in the mills of Holyoke and Chicopee.
My mother's mother, she worked at the Far Alpaca Mill in Holyoke, and I read articles about how the owner there used to travel to Canada to recruit the Canadian people.
But many French Canadians found a different calling outside the mills as builders.
every French kid back then was born with a, instead of a pacifier, he had a hammer.
The building and construction trades defined many Franco-Americans in the area. Meter's grandfather was a painter by trade who worked on many big projects in downtown Springfield.
In that late 1800s, early 1900s era, the French builders were really responsible for a huge portion of all the homes that were built here. We have companies, that started out building single-family homes that are now building multi-million-dollar, construction. Not only did they build a better life for themselves, but for the people who needed the housing in the homes.
The strong Catholic faith played an important role in the lives of French Canadians as well. The Reverend Louis Gagné became known as the builder of churches. St. Aloysius and St. Joseph's in Springfield were just 2 of the 30 Catholic churches he constructed over 50 years. And next to the churches were built French schools.
Their life revolved around the church. The church carried on the traditions of the people.
George Dean was one of Chicopee's most famous architects. During his career, he designed some of Chicopee's more prominent buildings, including the St. Stanislaus School. But his crowning achievement was this building right behind me, the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary Church, which today is home to Holy Name Parish. Meter wrote about the Church on the Hill, as it was called, which has served as her family's parish for 3 generations. When it opened on Easter Sunday, 1925, Assumption was called one of the most beautiful edifices of worship in New England. The style of the church is Italian Renaissance. In a portico, St. Joan of Arc guards the 85-foot campanile tower. Above the marble altar, which was constructed in Italy, carved in beautiful relief is the figure of Mary surrounded by cherubs, one of whom is modeled after Dion's own granddaughter. The work of master craftsmen is seen in the wainscoting and gold leaf. The Stations of the Cross are all done in vibrant colors.
One of my favorite things about the church is way at the top, the inscription in stone of the Latin words up there that mean, "May you be for all who enter the gate of heaven."
The book also features notable political leaders like Springfield's Mike Gravel, a senator from Alaska who later ran for president in 1972. Business leaders like the DeMoore family, who started the Big Y food chain during the height of the Depression. Gary Brown, former sports writer with the Republican, contributed stories on Robert Marinville, the Baseball Hall of Famer, and legendary Eddie Shore, who played and coached with the Springfield Indians hockey team. Tragedies are also told. When Springfield police officer Alan Beauregard was killed in the line of duty in 1985, it drew national attention. Holyoke's Precious Blood Fire in 1875 killed 71 people, then one of the worst fire disasters in the country.
There was decorations in the church that caught fire, and it just went up.
A monument to the fire victims was built in 2002 in the parish's cemetery. Meter was inspired by her own father's service during the Second World War to write about 3 French soldiers who served with honor during that conflict. Today, many French organizations have disappeared. The Cercle des Dames is one such women's group. But some French customs die hard. At St. Elizabeth's in Ludlow, volunteers carry on the nearly 40-year tradition of making homemade French-Canadian meat pies. Almost single-handedly, Meter has made it her mission to preserve and promote the legacy of Franco-Americans. In 2009, she established a French Heritage Center after 3 French churches, including Assumption, closed. Meter's dream is to have a place where French history can be permanently displayed.
We'd love to have a museum. I have the French costumes, I have French books, I have French records, I have all kinds of things that people have already given me, which I can't take anymore because my attic and cellar are right now full.
She said the center welcomes anyone who is interested in keeping the French heritage alive in Western Massachusetts. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
And the books can be purchased at the Republican offices on Main Street in Springfield, at local bookstores like the Odyssey in South Hadley, or online. We have the link on our website at iobserve.org. Each spring, the Ancient Order of Hibernians choose a recipient of the Hibernian Christian Charity Award. Honored this year is Columban Father Mark Mangle, pastor of Holy Name Parish in Springfield. Reporter Julie Bollier now introduces us to Father Mangle and tells us more about his charity work and his Irish roots.
Father Mark Mangle is honored this year as the recipient of the 2016 Christian Charity Award, given by the James A. Curran Division I and the Ladies Ancient Order of Hibernians of Hampden and Hampshire counties each spring, prior to St. Patrick's Day. Paul Hogan is president of the state AOH division.
Father Mangle was selected this year for all the good work he's done. I can remember Father Mangle when I went to St. Jerome's grammar school. He was in St. Jerome's High School, and his brother Paul and his brother Chris. Great family, and they are true Christians.
Father Mangle, a former baseball player, was a 1961 graduate of St. Jerome High School in Holyoke. Soon after his ordination in 1971, he joined the Missionary Society of St. Columban, an Irish missionary order. In March of 1972, he was assigned to the Columban Mission in Chile.
When I worked in South America, I worked in Chile, in Santiago, Chile, for about 10 years. And it was right after the time of the military coup. And there was an awful lot of poverty in the parish where I worked, and we organized soup kitchens. We had 4 soup kitchens throughout the parish, and we fed over 200 children whose parents were unemployed Monday to Friday.
The mission of the Ancient Order of Hibernians is to promote friendship, unity, and true Christian charity. The AOH was first founded in Ireland in the 1500s, and later again in New York City in 1836, to protect the Catholic religion from religious bigotry and discrimination. Former Boston Globe sports writer Bob Ryan was the guest speaker.
I was asked, and I would define organization and St. Patrick's Day connection, and I said, why not? Basically, I defined it. I said, I'd be happy to do it.
Bob Ryan spoke about the nature of being a sports fan and answered questions from the audience. Father Mangle marched with the Hibernians in Holyoke's 65th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade on March 20th. Reporting in Holyoke, this is Julie Bollier for Reel to Reel.
And the Ancient Order of Hibernians will hold a celebration of the 100th anniversary of the 1916 Easter Rising in Ireland on Saturday, April 23rd. The day will be marked by a flag-raising ceremony, a Mass at St. Jerome's Church in Holyoke, followed by a dinner at the Warehouse. All proceeds will benefit the retirement fund of the Sisters of St. Joseph. For reservations, you can call Paula Paoli at 413-210-6031 or Fran Hennessy at 413-785-5687. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Remember to keep up to date on all of the latest news in the Catholic Church by logging on to our website at iobserve.org. And there you can read news reports by our local Catholic communications team, as well as stories from across the U.S. and world by Catholic News Service. That's iobserve.org. And join me again next week at this same time for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.
Through your generosity, the annual Catholic Appeal continues to serve our community.
I am Andres Lopez. Catholic Latino Ministry offers pastoral services to families throughout Western Mass. We are there for people in need of God's mercy and love, all made possible through the annual Catholic Appeal.
The annual Catholic Appeal, assisting our neighbors here in Western Massachusetts. Visit diospringfield.org and make your donation today. Thank you for your support.